I'm going to create a simple rectangle on the XY plane, and I will go from the origin over to the right, and I'll dimension the width of this rectangle as 2 inches. Now there's no reason why you can't use metric dimensions for this weldment, and I want to make this actually 1 inch, so let's change that to 1 inch. And I will then go ahead and extrude this, and I'm going to extrude it a distance of, let's say, 2 inches. And so I'm just making an example block here to show this demonstration, and I'll go ahead and save this. And actually I want to pay attention to what face I'm on, and so I'm going to make this 3 inches instead. So I'll edit that feature and I'll change that to 3 inches. Alright, I'll save this, and I'm going to call this plate, P-L-A-T-E, and maybe I'll call this V-Prep, V-Prep plate. And so we made some block, and then I'm going to start a new assembly, and I'm going to initially make a mistake on purpose. So I'll do a new assembly, and then I'm going to place this block. And so I'll get that V-Prep plate, I'll right click, place grounded at the origin, and then I'm going to place another one either to the left or the right of this one. Alright, I want to line these up with 1/8 of an inch gap between those, and so I'm going to do constrain, and I'll do flush. I want this face to be flush with this face, and then I want this face on the bottom to be flush with that face, and then I'll do mate, the face and this face, and I want those to be 0.125 or 1/8 of an inch apart. I'll go ahead and save this, so I'll call this Prep Weld. Okay, so we're working out on the shop floor, and we want to put a V-Prep on here and then put a weld bead on here. I need to go into a weldment environment, so I'll go to the environments tab, and I'll tell it to convert this to a weldment since I didn't start from the weldment template. And I'm going to tell it I want to use ANSI standard, and for my material I'll use steel. Alright, now I need to put a preparation along here first, and so I'm going to click on preparations, and I will then do a chamfer. So these preparations only cut material from the part. So I'm going to do chamfer. I'm going to select this edge, and I'll select this edge, and I'm going to set those, and I actually want to do that as a non-uniform chamfer, so I might not be able to do those both at the same time, but I'll try it. So I'm going to do a distance and angle, so I have choice of distance and angle or two distances, or of course the 45-degree distance. And so I will select this face here, then I'll select this edge, and I'm going to put the angle as 30 degrees, and for the distance I'm going to do is 0.5. So it's going to be from here down, or from this corner down, 0.5, 30-degree angle. And when I do the other side, that'll give me a total of 60 degrees. So I'll do apply to that, and then I'll select the other side and this edge, and I'll say OK to that. So I have a preparation here where the welder just takes a grinder along here and grinds off that sharp corner. I'll then click return to get out of preparation, and then I want to do a weld bead. And so I'll do weld, and I need to fill this area in down here first. So I'll do a groove weld, and for face 1 I'll select this face, and for face 2 I'll select that face, and I actually forgot to put it on face 2, so I'll control unselect this face, and then I'll go to second face, and I'll select this face, and then I'm going to tell for the fill direction I want it perpendicular to this face or this face, either one of them. So I'll go ahead and select this one. We see that it fills in that area between those two. So I want to put a fillet weld across here now, and I'm going to select this as face 1, and for face 2 I'll select this face, and I want the top of this to be a convex shape, but I want it to come up here higher across this face. So if I change this to 0.65, and we see it preview, but now if I change this up to 0.75, we see that it doesn't preview because it would come up over this face. So I need to also select this as part of face 1 selection, and select this as part of face 2 selection, and now we see it preview that weld bead. I'm going to create a weld symbol for this weld, and I want the depth of the weld to be a 0.5. So let's first put this on a V-prep or V-groove weld bead, and then for the depth I'll do as 0.5, and for the angle I'll do as 60 degrees. And for the gap in between here, let's put as the gap. So when you put your mouse over these various boxes, it gives you a tooltip of what each box is for. So I'll do 0.125 for that one, and I believe I have everything I need in for this, so I'll say OK to this. And so here now we see our weld symbol, the gap, the angle, the depth of the weld, and then maybe we want to machine this flat after it's welded. So I'm going to click return, and I'll go to machining, and then I can select a face where I want to machine, and I could either select this face or this face, and I'm going to select this face as my sketch face, and then I will do project geometry, this corner and this corner, and I'll draw a rectangle between those two corners, and then I'm going to extrude that. So I'll go to extrude, and I'm going to go in two directions, so I'll do asymmetric, and for this distance I just need to make sure that it goes all the way through the convex curve of that weld bead. And then for the distance going down, let's say I want to go 0.015. That face now is flat, and then I'll click return, and you have to remember to click this return before you create the drawing. Let's not click return, and I'll show you the error that you'll get. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then I'm going to start a new drawing. I'm going to change the size of this drawing to an A size, so I'll right click on sheet 1, I'll say edit sheet, and I'm going to put this on an A size sheet, or put the appropriate metric size, and then I'll delete the title block. And I'm going to place a view on here now. So I'll do a base view, and I want to place a view of the weldment. And so right now it's trying to place a view of the original part. I'll get the V-prep weld, and it gives me an error. It says that assembly is in a rolled back state, and so it says open the assembly and close all feature groups. So what that means is we have to go back here, and we have to click this return. So this is in a rollback state. Everything is grayed out except for machining at this point. Till I click return, I'll go ahead and save it again, and I'll go back to the drawing, and now when I do that base view, it doesn't give me an error, and it previews. And I'm going to put initially the state that I want is the preparation state, so I'll say OK to that. And so here we see the view with the prep state, and then I'll do another base view, and for the model state I'm going to do the weld, and let's tell it to bring in the welding symbol, and then I will do a third placement, and so this time I'm going to do it in the machine state, and I put it over top of that previous one accidentally. So let's put this down here. Okay, I want to line these three up, and I might make this a shaded model, and so if I click here I can do shaded. Let's do that for all three of these. Now because these were created individually, that one is not a parent of the other, so I have to do the shading for each of those. Now maybe I want these lined up, so I'm going to select this view, and there's a dashed line that goes around a boundary, and I'll select this one with the control key, so I have two views selected. I'll right click, and I was expecting to see an option to align those, so let's try it this way. I'll only select this one, and then I'll see if I have the align, and I see the alignment, and I'm going to align vertical, and I'll select this one. So now these two are lined up, and then I'll select this one or this one. Let me go ahead and start with the same one. So I'll do alignment, and it tells me I can't do that one. We'll do this one, so I'll do alignment, I'll do vertical, and I'll select this. So now those are lined up. I'm going to give myself some space here, and maybe I'll just put these over here, move this around to make that look aesthetically pleasing, and I'll put some annotation on here. So I will call this one preparation, and I might make that text bigger, so let me double click on that, and I'll highlight that text, and let's make that 0.25. And then I might want to move that text around, and then I'm going to put some text down here, and I'm going to call this weld bead. Make sure this text height is 0.25. and then I'm going to call this machining, and I'm going to put a machine symbol on this, and I'm just going to put a basic symbol on here, except that, so that shows that face as being machined. If I want to line up these texts, I think we can do this. This time I'll select all three and I'll do align, and I can tell it how I want to align, either vertical or horizontal to the right or left. I'm going to tell align left, and then I might move this up a little bit. Now I think I could still move it, so I should get these where I want them vertically, and then do the alignment. Do it this way, or I could do it centered. So our preparation, and maybe I should have put a view up here before we had the preparation. So let's put another view in here. So if we're teaching somebody the processes, we might be documenting something like this. So let's put in another view. This time I'm going to do the assembly, and I'll put this up here, and I'm going to make that shaded. So I'll make this shaded, and I might move this down a little bit. And I might name this something like stock. Now I'm just going to copy this and paste it. Copy and paste. And then I'll just double click on that, and I'll call this stock. So we start out with some stock components. We do the preparation, the weld bead, and then the machining. I didn't line this one up. I'll right click and I'll do alignment vertical and line it up with this one. Okay, so that gives you an idea of creating some documentation for teaching your shop floor employees, what the weld symbol means. To further explain to the shop floor employee how to read this welding symbol, we should of course go ahead and dimension this. And so I'll dimension from this line to this line. That's the 60 degrees in the weld symbol, so that's where the 60 degrees comes from. And then the distance from here to here, that's where the 0.5 comes from, and I can change that to 1 decimal place if I like. I could click on that and go to precision, and I'll change that to 1 decimal place. And then the 0.125 for the gap, and so let's dimension that from here to here, and I'll change that to 3 decimal places. So we'll go to the precision and tolerance, change that to 3 decimal places. Okay, and so now the employee can see where these various dimensions in the weld symbol, where they come from.